I'm going to show you how to enter the water like a torpedo. And then I'm going to show you a few different racing start styles and drills so that you can train in the pool and out of the water in the weight room. Now, the first thing I want to do is break down a few different ways that you can actually do a racing start. I'm going to point out the similarities and differences between all of them. So right away, here I am stepping onto the block and I am doing the grab start. If you notice, both my hands are together, both my feet are together, and I'm diving off the block in that fashion. This is probably the slowest way to get off the block, and you can see it initially starts with the hand pull. Don't worry, we're going to dive into all the mechanics, what's going on. I just want to show you each of these. Now, this second method is the track start. If you notice, one foot is going to be back behind the other. So only one foot, the toes are curled over the edge. And now we're going to play it again here in slow motion. Look at that back foot, the initial pull, and then we're launching off into the water in a nice, tight, streamlined position. Now, the third variation is the track start. One foot's going to be back, but now I'm grabbing the handlebars. And if you notice in the last one, I did not grab the handlebars. So watch it in slow motion. My hands are gripping here, a little bit different. And then we're catapulting, entering the water in a nice, tight streamline. And then the fourth version, we're going to relay start. So there it is. We have a little bit of momentum leaving the block. But again, both toes are pushing, and we're going to enter the water in a nice, tight streamline. A little bit more distance on the relay start because of that. Now, as you can see, all four of them, I'm going to get out of the shot right here. All four of them, the relay start has a little bit of a lead, but you'll actually start to notice some differences here, and I'm going to break it out side by side. So before we get it going, this is the first version that I showed you guys. This is the grab start. Both feet are together, and then this one is the track start. And both hands are actually grabbing these handles. Not every diving block has those handles. Perfectly okay if your diving block does not have them, but it does give you the most leverage. So these are like the two extreme use cases. So we're going to play this in slow motion. Top, we have the grab start. Bottom, we have the track start. And you can immediately see in slow motion now what the difference looks like. So if I do a track start, my reaction time is about 0.65 seconds. That's from when the beep goes off until my feet leave the diving block. If I do a grab start, my reaction time is 0.8 seconds. So the difference between the top and the bottom is 0.15 seconds just because of the way my feet and hands are actually placed on the block. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. This is moving at super slow motion. And you can see, even though the start is at the exact same time, what happens immediately after. Here we go. And you can see I'm leaving the block way faster with that 0.65 reaction time. Wow, look at that. It's pretty dramatic, but when you slow it down only, because if you go back and you watch it in real speed, so here we go, you can't even really see much of a difference, but you can see 0.6 to 0.8, right? 0.15 difference. There's the difference right there. Now, what I want to do is I actually want to go back to this start right here. So we step up onto the block. Now, the first thing that you do on the block immediately is you find your foot position. So my front foot, if you notice, toes are curled over the edge, but more importantly, both my front foot and my back foot are pointing in the direction that I want to go. I see so many swimmers. You step up onto the block and your feet are like pointing all over the place. Like, where are you going? Are you going to lane 3? Are you going to hang out with the official? No, no, no. What are we doing? You got to make sure your foot position is in point. That's like the first thing that you do. You get your stability. You should feel really good, and you're pointing in the direction that you want to go. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to focus on your overall body position. You want to keep your hips high, your butt. I see a lot of swimmers, they kind of just like are sitting down. They're like crouched. This is not, you know, crouching tiger, hidden dragon, right? This isn't any of that nonsense. You want to have your high body position because you're trying to get to the other end of the pool, and fundamentally you do want airtime, but you're going for distance as well. So you want to have your body in an athletic position. So rather than having your backside down here, you actually want to have it a little bit higher, of course, based on your size and flexibility. So keep that in mind. Now let's clear up all of that mess. So we talked about the feet. We talked about the hips. Now let's talk about the hands. The hands, if you don't have these these poles on the side, these handles, you're going to grab the front of the block. Now, you don't actually have to grab the front of the block in a racing start. The rule just says your one toe has to be over the edge, right? So you can't like stand over here on the block. You have to stand all the way on the front with at least 1 foot, and then your hands should join right next to your feet. If you do have the handles, you're going to grab them, and the reason why this is important is because when the beep goes off, when the gun goes off, you have a lot more ability to react faster with your hands, and that can start the momentum. And then the last thing before we actually start this is, where are my eyes looking? Your eyes are looking right down at your feet. This is like the most neutral athletic stance that you can be in on the diving block to set you up for success. So let's clear the drawing. Now we're ready to actually push off the block. So focus on, you know, feet, then butt, then hands, eye position. Let's play. Take mark, beep. Now that happens really fast. Oh, this is the fast one. Let's do slow motion now. All right, this will be a lot better. Here's the slow motion version. Now, on the beep, when I hit the play button, notice how my whole body almost compresses just a little bit. So I'm anticipating the start, but I'm not like trying to time it. I'm in a somewhat flexed position because I know when I hear the beep, or if you're, you know, if you can't hear, you're going to see, you're looking for that light. As soon as you see the strobe, or if you can hear, you're going to listen for the beep. You are trying to pull with your hands first as fast as possible. So you want to be in like a flexed state. That's on the take your mark. So watch how my body flexes, and then I launch with my hands first. There's the launch, boom. And then we're in the streamline. So if you notice here, the hands go first, and then the back foot transfers. So all of your weight right here is in the front. So if I were to draw like a line right here, my initial center of gravity was here. Now I'm leaning forward. All of this came from my hands pulling. That's what happened at the very, very beginning. Then after I pull with my hands, now my body weight has shifted. Oh, I'm drawing the wrong way. My body weight has shifted, and so now my legs can actually do something besides holding up my upper body. So once you start to have this little bit of a lean, then your legs can actually push. And the benefit of having this back fin on a diving block, it makes it that much easier to push with your back foot. And you got to make sure you're pushing all the way through with your back foot. So I'm going to go ahead and clear, hit the play button, and you can see the launch. And then of course you have to meet in the streamlined position, and it's really important that you enter through a clean hole. Now, I'll admit, I'm not, you know, the best diver in the world. I'm not even close, but I do an okay job getting off the block, entering the water, and streamline. Plenty of areas to improve. For me specifically, it's actually the way that I enter the water. 2 areas for myself. If you're wondering, like, what can I do better in this start? Let's go back and I'll tell you them. So the first one is actually my distance versus height. So remember, your goal is to get to the other end of the pool. I have a tendency to go up and then down like this, and that's not good. So instead, you really want to focus on driving all your power forward, and rather than up and then down. And then the other thing that I need to work on is how I enter the water, my actual body position. So if you notice, like, okay, it looks like he's going to enter a nice little hole. The body line is relatively straight. That looks good. Actually, that's wrong. So my fingertips are fine to enter like this, but if you watch a really good athlete do a dive, the way they enter the water, I'm going to draw what their body position should look like. So imagine my hands are under the water. This is fine. And then my legs should actually be like this. So there should be a little bit more core activation to bring my legs, my feet down just a little bit. And then as I'm entering the water, I'm basically straightening out my body. And so the problem with the way I'm diving is that I end up going too deep if I want to have a clean entry. And so the best dive entries in the world, if you watch all these swimmers, they're actually entering the water. I'll draw it in yellow. with this body position, which is very difficult to time and requires a lot of core strength. But if you do it a few thousand times, you're going to get better and better at it. And I'm personally not that good at this specific thing. And most of you watching probably have a lot of room to improve just in this element. But I know there's a lot in here. So I actually want to take a step back and talk about some drills on how you can actually practice the dive so you can maximize your results. And there's the relay start right there. Let's go ahead and actually skip to that comparison because I think it's so interesting. There's that. And then we'll talk about some drills and you guys will be on your way. So here's the start. I'm going to get out of the way. Okay, here we go. The relay start with the advantage. Okay, there it is. Yep, the grab start 2 feet together are definitely the slowest. And here's that comparison again. In real time, really difficult to see, but when we slow it down, the top is the grab 2 feet and the bottom is the track start. And you can see a lot more speed and the distance is about the same. You could actually argue my entry was maybe a little bit better on that top one. Of course, it's circumstantial. So let's go ahead and talk about some drills that you guys can do to really maximize this. Now, the first one that I like to do is the dive and float. So all you're going to do is you're going to dive in the water. You can do any kind of a start. You can do a running start, whatever. And you're just going to float and streamline. And what this is doing, it's really forcing you to have a good, clean entry and then to stabilize your body. Remember, this is the fastest part of a race, of even a workout when you push off the wall. And so you want to train your body what it feels like to be really, really efficient on that entry and then gliding underwater. So give it a couple tries and try and go as far as you can. Caleb Dressel has actually gone the entire length of the pool, believe it or not, and there's other top swimmers who have actually made it 25 meters off the dive, no kicks, nothing, just floating. So see how far you can go and let me know how far you guys are going down below in the comments. Now the next drill is the one leg dive. This is really focusing on balance and stability and being able to push off with just a single leg. So make sure you practice this a few times. It'll take you to get the hang of it. But all you're doing with the one leg dive is really balancing on one leg. And you should really have a good idea of what your dominant foot is because it's going to put all of your weight and then you're going to dive in. So give it a couple tries, see how that goes. Another version is the running dive. So this is training your body, what it feels like to enter the water with a lot of speed. When you're in the air, you have more time to adjust your body position in the air by the time you actually enter the water. So when you're running into the water, it's an explosive movement. It's great for speed and agility, but also teaches your body what it feels like to enter the water really, really fast and then transfer that speed into your underwater dolphin kicks. Now, another one is the double pull boot with a buoy. So what you're going to do is you can do this with a medicine ball. You're actually going to be on the block. You're going to have some weight on both hands. Could be a pull buoy, could be a medicine ball, whatever you have available, whatever the lifeguard won't yell at you. And you're actually going to practice pulling with your hands. You can do this on land as well, but it really helps to do it on the diving block and then actually, leap forward and enter the water in a dive. And what this is focusing on is some agility with your hands, teaching your body what it feels like to pull first with your hands and then carry the momentum with your feet. So you do this with some medicine balls and you're going to be a pro. Another drill, which is a little bit more difficult, is actually diving in with a pull buoy between your thighs. It teaches your body how to enter the water firm. You don't want to be loose and sloppy. So by having to squeeze your legs together, squeeze your butt, squeeze your thighs, and make sure you enter the water really, really narrow. That's what this drill does. So the next hardest difficulty is where you actually put it between your knees and you don't want the pull buoy to fall out. So between your thighs, it's not as difficult. It's easier to hold the pull buoy in place. But when you put it between your knees, you're probably going to experience some failure. And if you want the ultimate challenge, go ahead and try and put this between your feet and see how that goes. That's definitely the hardest variation. I was struggling when I did this video, but you give it a try and let me know how it goes. Now, another drill that you can do out of the water is the depth jump. Now, when you do a depth jump, what you're trying to do is you're trying to have as little time and contact with the ground as possible. This is really teaching your body how to be explosive. Imagine doing a flip turn, jumping off the block, and you want to be fast. Another drill that I like to do in the weight room is the split leg jump. If you look at this pattern, it really looks how you are in a track start off the diving block. You have this explosive pattern. The way your legs, the way your body is positioned on land is very similar to what's going to happen off the diving block. So there's a few tips on how to be explosive off the diving block, some things you can do in the water, out of the water. If you guys enjoy this out of the water content, you're going to love a full video that I did recently with a routine in the gym. I talk about a few different strength training exercises, and these are included in that. Check it out. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.